So here we are, the final spot. Look at the view we have. It's so nice. We can see far away. We're relatively shielded from the wind. There's a tiny bit of wind here, but it's gonna be fine. I think, I hope. And now's gonna be the time to undo all that and to set up the tent, probably a bit higher up there. We'll see, I don't know yet. I have to peruse the terrain a little bit to see. Then we're gonna be able to take in the view. Look at that. So this is a spot that I've chosen. It's just in front of the bike. Why am I choosing here? Even though it has a lot of sticks and rocks that I'm gonna have to clear, it's because it's better shielded from the wind that comes from here. Again, I insist with the wind, it's super important. You're gonna have a bad night if you are exposed to the wind. So make sure that this is the primary concern. Then there's no lake, there's no water, so that would be also a concern, but there's not gonna be a problem with that now. And over there, it's a bit more flat, but it's also more visible from the path, and I would rather not be visible too much. So in here it is a bit visible from the village and a little bit of a house that was just next to the horses, but besides that it's better protected from view as well as from the wind. So I'm just gonna clear this place out, and then I'm gonna start pitching the tent. Let's go. Okay, it's mostly clear, so now time to put the tent. I'm going to start with a tarp. So I'm going to start with a tarp. The whole point of this is that it's heavy duty and it's going to protect my fragile tent, because it's a trekking tent with a thinner bottom, from the little bit of rocks and the stuff that I might have forgotten or that I couldn't get out. So this is also moisture proof, it's rain proof. It can also be used as a tarp over the tent if it was to be pouring. Now the weather is super clear, it's not going to be raining during the night probably, so I'm just going to put this down, and it's going to protect a little bit from the moisture from the ground, even though the ground is a bit dry right now, and it's going to protect mostly the tent. Now this tarp is 2.5 meters by 2 meters. It's way bigger than the actual tent, so I'm probably gonna fold it like that, maybe a third of the way. So that it doesn't bother me too much. There. So now the tent, this one is the Decathlon Forclaz MT900. It's one of the higher ends of Decathlon, but compared to some other brands like MSR or whatever, it's usually considered to be of a lower end quality product. It's the first time I'm using it, so I just bought this with my own money. It costed me 250 euros, which is kind of pricey given the fact that 3 years ago it was only sold at 200, and nothing really has changed in the 3 years, so 4 years. So yeah, we're just gonna start pitching this one, and I hope it's going to be good. But one of the advantages is that it's only 5.3 liters when it's fully packed, and it's about 2 kilograms. It's about 1950 grams. So yeah, it's relatively lightweight. It's not the most lightweight, but it also has a few clever features that I quite like. So here you have, for example, the explanation on how to mount it. It's stuck to to the envelope, so you're not going to lose it, and it's kind of plasticky, so even if it rains, it's going to survive. I think it's pretty nice. It tells you if you forgot how to mount the tent, then it tells you how to do it. So then of course we have 2 layers. This is the inner layer and this is the outer layer. You have some spikes to put into the ground, and you have the poles. Now the poles have 2 colors. I'm going to start with the poles. So you got 2 colors. You've got black and kind of gold-y-yellow. Goldy-yellow, that's a new color. And everything is pre-assembled, and you have a little bit of a triangle here that is going to assemble everything. So you just assemble every little stick. There you go. So that forms a Y shape here. And then on this end, it will form a cross like this. And then on this end, it will also form a Y shape. So it's a double Y shape armature. It's very similar to the Hubba Hubba from MSR. I'm guessing it was highly inspired by it. So that's what it's going to be. And I'm realizing that maybe my tarp is not quite big enough, but whatever. We'll see when we get there. So as it is an inside first tent, you have to first mount the inside layer, so the inner shell, let's say. So this is the inner shell. And fold it nicely. And everything is color coded, so this is something very nice with this tent. Everything is color coded, so this is yellow, and it's supposed to go on the yellow/gold side. And the rest is color coded black, so there's really no mistake that you can make. Yeah, so this is the outer layer. It's the first time I undo this tent, so I have no idea what I'm doing. This is the outer shell, this is the inner shell. But what I said about the color coding is still true. Here you've got some gold and yellow, which is supposed to go there. So let's just start pitching the tent. There you go. Once this is done, you can kind of carry the tent around and move it around. Okay, I take back what I said about my tarp. It's exactly the right size. It's perfect. Awesome. So it goes into the little hole. And the same happens on the other side. So this is what it looks like with just the inner shell. Of course, it needs to be secured to the ground, which I have yet to be doing. So the nice part about this tent is that you have a lot of visibility through this mosquito net, and it's quite nice. And so when the weather is nice, just like now, you could delay the moment where you put the outer shell so that you still can be inside of the tent if you want to chill out in your sleeping bag or something and still see what's outside. And I think that's great. And this part is gonna prevent the sun from burning you too much when you're in the tent, although I wouldn't trust this completely for UV protection. So because of the slightly asymmetrical way this is designed, especially with this, which is a special feature I'm going to show you in a minute, I will just turn the tent around so that the gold side is down there. So now I'm just going to plant some of these. So in here you have some guy lines that you could tension at will, and you have, of course, or not. Ah, it's in 2 parts. Okay. So yeah, in this little bag, it is in 2 parts actually. You have here a place to fix a tube. If it broke, you could just insert the two halves and this is going to hold. You have the guidelines that I have in my other hand. And it's kind of separated in two halves. So this is the first half and then you just have to twirl it like that. And then you have access to the other half. Not sure if it's very useful or what. And then you have these very simplistic aluminum little peaks. I forgot what they're called. And they do have a little hook here so that you could put the guy line around it. It's going to catch on it. So thankfully I have plenty of rocks, so I don't need a hammer. I'm just going to use a rock as a hammer. One of the secret ingredients of this tent, which I like, it really makes something different, is this part right here. This is going to be tensioned like that, and it provides you with a space that is a bit floating above the ground. And if the ground was wet, when you're going to put your stuff, because this is the vestibule, in the vestibule your stuff is not going to be directly in contact with the ground. And it's not going to get wet because this is the same material that you have in the inside of the tent on the bottom part. So this is a really cool thing, and there are not that many other manufacturers that do it. It even goes back up here a little bit so that water is not going to get in if it rains and there's wind or something like that. And I think it's a really nice thing. It also provides a bit more stability, but this is very stable to begin with the four corners pinned down. Now is the time to put the outer shell on top of the tent. Once again, gold side goes on gold side, super easy, can't mess it up. So here it is, the tent is fully mounted, as you can see. Now I didn't put any of the guy lines because it's not going to be very windy, because I'm protected from the wind, and it's not going to rain either, so I don't need to stretch all the outer layer parts. So I really do save some time by doing this. If obviously it's windy, or if it's going to rain, obviously, make sure that the guy lines here are all connected, or all being tensioned properly. So let me just show you why this is so cool. Here you can see that the bottom is attached to the zipper, and that way it never actually drags into potentially wet floor, wet ground. And then you could just roll it. And secure it with a little clip so that it won't move away. I have this little vestibule. It's protected from the wind, and it's going to provide me some space to cook, and I'm going to be able to put my bag over there, so it's not going to take some space into the tent. That's very nice. I just like it. So now let me just unpack everything else inside of the tent, like sleeping bag and everything, and then I'll be able to cook something. So here we have a little pillow, inflatable pillow. It's pretty good. The mattress, it's a trekking mattress, also from Decathlon, the Forclaz 700 Ultra. And then I have my brand new Valandré sleeping bag. It's a Dawn sleeping bag. It's very nice. It's rated for 0 degrees Celsius comfort, so we're going to see how that does. I don't think it's going to go down to 0 degrees today. even in the middle of the night. It should be maybe around 5 degrees or something like that. So it's a good first test of this thing. So this one I actually have to blow air into with my mouth because I don't have any pump or anything, but it's fine. It's just going to take a couple minutes. And done. I've been using this for a couple years already, and it's pretty nice because it has some rubbery pads here, and that prevents your sleeping bag from moving around too much during the night. You can also use it upside down so that the mat itself doesn't slide on the tent floor. I'm thinking I'm going to be using the right way up, but yeah, feel free to do whatever. Well, let's move to the Valandré sleeping bag, dawn sleeping bag. Quite expensive, quite premium. It's brand new. It's the first time I use it. And one really cool thing about Valandré is that they do provide you insurance, assurance, in the sense that if you were to lose a little bit of the dawn that is inside, you can send it to them and they can weigh it, know how much is lost, and stuff it again with the right amount, sew it back and send it back to you. So it's really not a product that is designed to be used a couple times and then thrown away and you buy another one from China. It's really designed to be better and to be reusable. So that's something I really like. And also the way they preserve the dawn from the animals is much better for the animals themselves, and it's dawn that is from French animals. Doing that in France ensures that you have proper conditions for the animals instead of having something sourced from China or sometimes from places that you don't really know. So yeah, just make sure when you have a dawn pack like this, or dawn sleeping bag, make sure that you air it as early as possible because it needs to recover its thickness so that it's insulating more. And now let's move on to this little pillow. It's also Decathlon. I mean, not sponsored by Decathlon. I usually like their stuff. It's usually relatively good for the money that you have to pay. It's not the best, to be honest, but it's good enough, you know. It's good enough. And why would you pay so much if good enough is good enough, right? But of course, if you want higher end stuff, you're free to pay 2 or 3 times the price. So this was quite affordable. The mattress as well, the tent, like I said, $250. But the MSR Uba is around 400 or 450 for something very similar. So, you know, that's more than twice the amount. So pro tip about these little inflatable pillows, never inflate them fully. This is maybe half inflated, maybe it's a little too much. I will try it out, and if it's too much, I'll deflate it a little bit. If it's too much inflated, it's just gonna feel like you're sleeping on a brick, and it's really not that nice. So here, let me just try. Yeah, it's good, it's good. Then you could also stuff it with some clothes underneath or something like this. I'm just gonna try it like this. And I don't know yet if I'm gonna put it inside or outside my sleeping bag. I'll just see. We'll see when we get there. So some of the other features of this tent I'm kind of discovering at the same time. So you have 2 pockets here to put some stuff, your phone or keys, whatever. You don't have the same here, so I'm guessing it's supposed to be the head that way and the feet that way, but because the ground is a little slanted towards that way, that is down, this is up, I'm gonna probably try it like this. I'll just see. And then in the ceiling you have this little net that allows you to put a lot of stuff, and you have of course a hook so that you can hang like a lamp or something like this. And you do have here some fabric here and here, and so it's a loop, and you could pass a little cord through that, and you could probably hang some stuff to dry or something like that if you need to. So that's really nice. So this 80-liter bag fits nicely into the vestibule on the ground sheet. So it's nice. I mean, this obviously doesn't need a ground sheet because it's fully waterproof, but a hiking backpack, for example, is gonna really benefit from this. And now the best part about camping, actually chilling out. And for that, I bought something. I bought a camping chair. Now also, Decathlon. I know it's a running gag here. Why Decathlon? Because this was 40 euros and the Helinox Chair Zero, which is half that weight. So this is about 1.1 kilo and the Chair Zero from Helinox is about 550 grams, so it's about half. But the Chair 1 is sold at around 110 euros and it's the same weight and it's the same volume. Now, given the quality, I don't know. It's the first time I'm using it. Maybe the quality is better on the name brand tent. We'll see. So the construction is quite similar. It's just here it makes an X pattern, and the Chair Zero from Helinox has one cross beam like this, and I think it's patented. That's why nobody else can use it, even if they want to, because it's patented. But then, you know, the whole concept is exactly the same. Just put the logo Quechua up top, and here we go. The last one is always the most annoying one to put. All right, let's just check it out. It's a really nice thing to be able to actually sit down after a day of riding, because your back is never actually supported on the bike. It's always, you know, pulling, pushing, especially if you go off-road, you're gonna have to move it a lot. And having this chair, being able to actually sit down and have your back resting on something, it feels very nice. Now there is a longer version, a heavier version, where you could actually rest your head. It is tall enough so that you can rest your head. And I almost got that one, but it's much heavier and it takes a lot of volume. And since I plan on going longer motorcycle trips and I do want to bring a chair, it's a brand new thing for me, but I think I'm going to be bringing a chair from now on. It's important to have something that is lightweight and compact. Now, of course, the Helinox Chair Zero, which is sold at 150 euros right now, so it's about 3 times the price of this one, is going to weigh half. And it does matter, weight does matter, but I prefer to go with a cheaper option because I'll see if it's really a problem or not, and maybe I'll buy the new one. Okay, I really am starving, so now it's really time to make some food. Let's go. So I have this pre-made meal. Usually you just microwave it, but I'm just gonna try to heat it up with the gas stove. These are the regular cartridges, the MSR ones, Decathlon, it's all the same, follows the same standard. So that's it. I finished my meal, and the sun has set. The night is falling. The moon is up. And since there's a tiny bit of wind and it starts to get a bit cold, I'm gonna go inside the tent, inside of the sleeping bag, to get nice and cozy. Otherwise, it's very quiet. The moon is shining. It has become pretty dark here. Now I'm in my tent, and since it's just 9:30 and I'm not really that tired yet, I'm just gonna watch some movie on my phone. I just downloaded it, so yeah, I'll just chill out for a while. The moon is shining. It has become pretty dark here. Now I'm in my tent, and since it's the moon is shining. The moon is shining. It has become pretty dark here. I think you can tell it's been quite cold tonight and in this morning because this is frost. Frost has built up everywhere, so we might have actually reached 0 degrees. The bike has some frost on it, as you can see. Yeah, it's a bit cold. A bit cold. So what I'm going to be doing is tear down the tent as soon as possible so that it's just easier to move around, and yeah, better do it now than later. So there it is. The tent has been folded. Yes, it is still wet. I could dry it a little bit with the sun. The sun just started shining here. It's peeking out of the mountain here. I don't want to waste too much time for it to get dry properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pack it like this. Yes, it's a little wet, but then when I go back home tonight, I will just unpack it, let it dry properly before packing it for long-term storage. So yeah, don't worry about that. So this morning, what am I gonna do? Well, I've got some tea. I've got some snacks, but I don't really want that. But I have this little dates. It's full of sugar. It's nice. Very good. So what do I think about this equipment? Costed me quite a fortune really, but I think it's important to be well equipped, especially if you plan on doing 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month long trips with a lot of camping and wild dispersed camping like this. Well, the chair, let's start with the chair. Very nice. It's very nice to have a chair like that. Now, of course, I've been using it for one evening and one morning, so I don't know how it's gonna stand in time, but it seems to be pretty well made. And if it was to break, well, you know, it's 40 euros and not 150, so it's less of a bummer if it does. And it's a very nice addition. Like I said yesterday, which is a few minutes ago for you, it's very nice to be able to rest your back and enjoy the scenery instead of being sitting on the ground, which is a bit wet here because it was freezing tonight. So yeah, chair, very nice addition. If you can spare the weight and if you have the volume in your luggage, I would definitely recommend you do that. Then the tent, well, this isn't going to be an in-depth review of the tent, but so far so good. I think it's pretty nice. I like the fact that you have vestibules on both sides, and I like the fact that you have the ground sheet that prevents your stuff from getting wet when you put it in the vestibule. So that's a very nice addition. I like it. Even though here I use the tarp, so it doesn't really matter because the tarp can extend way further than that. But if you don't have a tarp, it's a very nice addition. I prefer to have a tarp because it really protects the bottom of the tent, and it's much easier to replace this tarp that was less than 10 euros rather than the whole part of the tent that might be, you know, 80 or 100 or something like that, if you can find a spare part. Otherwise, it's pretty roomy. I like the fact that there is the cross beam, just like in the Uba Uba, which makes the walls of the tent more vertical, and it gives you an impression of volume. And it's actually not just an impression, it really does have a lot more volume, and it feels comfortable to be sitting in the tent. And I'm pretty sure that with another person, it would still be fine. It's a 2-people tent, and it's a true 2-people tent. Here I did have a lot of my stuff inside of the tent still, but I could as well have used all the space outside, you know, on the ground sheet or even directly in the grass, especially because I have a waterproof bag. So yeah, definitely 2 people tent. I'm pretty sure it's fine with 2 people. It's pretty good. It's not too heavy. It was a bit expensive if you compare it to some of the other offerings that Decathlon has, for example. It still is the upper end of their lineup, but it's quite affordable compared to the big name brands. So I think it's a good value for now. Only time will tell that it's really a good product or if it just fails after a few uses. I don't think it will fail if you are being careful with it, but yeah, we'll see. I'll get back to you on that as soon as I have more experience with it. Man, the sun is in my face. I'm just gonna have to switch glasses. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's better with the sunglasses. So the next item that I did purchase that costed me a lot is the Valandré sleeping bag. Very nice sleeping bag. It's very warm. It has this little intermediate part. So you have the hood, which I really recommend you use because at first I didn't have the hood on, and it's not a design problem, it's a me problem. And in the middle of the night, it started to be very cold. Like my ears got very cold because I don't have any sort of hat. My nose kind of got cold as well. And then I just put the hood properly. I secured it. It was very snug against my face. You can actually almost put it to the nose and just have your mouth coming out so that you could breathe in the clean air. Do not breathe inside of the bag because at first you're going to feel that it's warmer, but then eventually you're going to be colder because there's moisture in the air that you expel, and this moisture is going to ruin your dawn sleeping bag, first of all, and second, it's going to increase the heat transfer between your body and the inner layer of your sleeping bag. So do not breathe inside of your sleeping bag. So yeah, the bag is very nice. It's high quality, you can feel it. It is very fluffy and it's very comfortable. So I'm really happy about that purchase. And I think we did go at about 0 degrees Celsius because as you saw in the morning, there was frost everywhere. I mean, there's still frost on the bike right now because it hasn't been warmed up by the sun yet. So yeah, I think we did go down to 0 and it was fine. I mean, once you use it properly, you have the hood and everything is secured down, then it's fine. Absolutely fine. So I'm really happy about that purchase. It was very expensive, but I think it's going to last years and years and years. So that was my point. I really wanted to get something that would last me a long time. Other than that, some of the other items that I bought for my next voyage is well, actually what I'm wearing right now. I do have a soft shell here, also Decathlon. This little puffy jacket is Dawn. It's also Decathlon. It's pretty nice. I'm pretty warm with it. I mean, right now there's the sun, of course, but before it was quite chilly outside of the tent, and just moving a little bit, this was absolutely fine. Yesterday I've also been using this soft shell, which blocks the wind really well underneath my motorcycle jacket. Because the motorcycle jacket is actually a summer jacket, so it's a mesh jacket. It's designed to be really breathable, and it is breathable, but right now it's maybe like 10 degrees Celsius. You don't want breathable by 10 degrees Celsius. And yesterday was about 20, but when you're riding, you do feel the cold, even though there is a layer that is both waterproof and a little bit windproof. With this, I couldn't feel any wind. That was great. So I highly recommend having something that really blocks the wind if you have a mesh jacket that you're using outside of the designed temperatures and situation. One thing I have been missing though in this night and in this morning especially is another pair of gloves. I do have 2 pairs of gloves right now with me. I have the winter gloves for motorcycling and summer gloves for motorcycling as well. But the summer gloves are not warm enough to just do stuff like this, especially the poles of the tent were extremely cold. You know, it's aluminum and it was about 0 degrees, so it really is cold to the touch. So next time I will bring definitely a 3rd pair of gloves, and these gloves will be just regular mountaineering gloves, not too thick, so that I can actually do stuff, you know, pitch up the tent, tear it down easily. I need to have some dexterity with it, but definitely my hands starting to get cold. Of course, I do have very warm pockets, but when your hands are in your pocket, you don't really do much. So definitely something that I will need to have for next time.